Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Business Talk South Africa. I am your host, Pelele Jamini, and this is
Sanele, our co-host.
yeah, my co-host, Sanele Makawa. Yeah, guys. So we have told you guys that we are Christians and we believe in God, and so everything that we do, even with regards to business talk, we have conversations with God. And He said, "You have conversations with me. Why don't you have conversations with your audience?" And impart upon them the knowledge that I have given you. So this is a new segment. This is called Conversations with Lele and Sanele. And essentially, as we have discussed before, we do have a marketing agency. So this is the part where we give you insights on marketing. Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. We're going to talk about
Reputation management.
yeah.
So that's very, very key as a personal brand and as a business for businesses. So we're going to dive into what that is. And we've got some discussion points that we'll be going through. And also speaking about our journey within this conversation of how we handle our reputation and what we've learned about reputation management. So usually we have these discussions on radio, but now we also have them here on screen, so it's exciting. We are on VNC Planet Radio every Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. But yeah, we're here on Thursdays from 2 to 4 o'clock. And yeah, so you're going to get a feel of us on radio here, just without a radio host.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a bit exciting.
So yeah, guys. So what we're gonna be doing is that one Tuesday we have conversations, and then the second Tuesday that's when we bring in a guest. Yeah. So our first discussion point is
The reputation management.
yeah, but the first point is vision.
So what do you want to say about vision?
Okay, so essentially, as a business and as a brand, as an entity, you are supposed to have a reputation, right? Which is what we're going to get into. But the first point of establishing a reputation is understanding what is your vision. What do you know about the service or the entity that you're building? What do you see, essentially? What are you becoming? What is the vision? And what is the growth projection that you set for that? So, yeah, vision is essentially the one thing as an entrepreneur, as a side hustler, as a person who is giving a service, or as a personal brand, as an influencer, you need to kind of plan out a vision, know where you're going, know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very, very key. And as Lile said earlier on that our boss is God, I want to speak a little bit about the biggest brand. Whether you like it or not, you cannot kill this brand. And that's our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, right? He is a brand. And his story, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
How he comes and he gets these 12 guys, and he spends time with them for 3 years, and then sends them out to continue this brand identity, and it continues. And now we're all over the world. We've got churches all over the world, some good, some bad. But in all essence, whether it's good or bad, their brand stands. His name still stands, and you cannot break his name.
Yeah.
And one interesting part about him, and the reason why I'm choosing him, because he is the biggest brand. When you say Jesus Christ, everyone knows who you're talking about. All right. Whether you're for or against him, you do know. So on a business aspect, in terms of reputation management, he's got a reputation that is above every other reputation.
Yeah.
There's no reputation bigger than his reputation. Whether you are for or against him, right? And there's a part where he spends time with them and he asks them, who do men say I am, right? And then there's answers there to say, some say you're Elijah, some say you're John the Baptist, all of these different things. And then he switches because he's been spending time with them directly. He asks them, who do you say that I am?
Yeah.
All right. And Peter answers and he says that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Now, what you notice here is that, because we're talking about reputation, that reputation that they had, the ones who spent time with him, was different to what everyone else was saying.
Yeah.
Right. And the one thing we want to say, yes, we'll talk about vision in a moment. But the one thing that's important is, in terms of reputation, it is really about reputation is not about what you necessarily tell people, but it's about how they're experiencing you, how they're experiencing your business. And then the answer comes from that, right? So that's why the answer from Peter was different to the many answers that people had, right? But he came with a vision. right? And he came to build this church, right? Which he came with the kingdom of God,
Yeah.
right? And this kingdom has spread all over the world. But when you look at it, it started with him. The vision was with him, right? He knew what he was about. He didn't mince his words. He said who he was, and those who experienced him, they saw it and they said it. And what's amazing about him is that they said it before he said it,
Yeah.
right? Which means they had experienced what he was saying, you know. So when your vision is clear, then what people experience with you is very direct. It's clear. We have business talk. We talk about business, right? We won't tell you we talk about this and that and that. We are very direct, right? And when you come and experience us, that's what you get. That's what you get, business, right? And that's the importance of understanding your vision and being precise and being direct with it.
Yeah, and I think, sir, that you went around it, but essentially, when we speak about Jesus Christ, when Peter answered, he said that you are Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus' response was, and that is the revelation on which I build my church. So that's the
Yes,
vision.
the vision.
The answer is that is the revelation on which I build my church. So that is the vision of Christianity, understanding who Christ is. Hence, we are Christians. But in terms of a business, what is your reputation, is your brand so clearly distinguished that when you ask somebody else, they come back to you and they say, oh, that is what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
We are business talk. What do we do? We are here in an entrepreneurship space and we are speaking to entrepreneurs. What do? We are cultivating entrepreneurs because it is our belief system that Christ, God, is a businessman and he wants everybody to be business people. So we are drawing out business people, business minded people. So that's essentially even the vision behind Conversations with Sanele and Lily, because we want to kind of cultivate a way of thinking that that establishes a legacy, right? Don't be in business and limit yourself to one thing. You are an entity, and entities can come out of you. Like with Abraham, like we can go on. We did say previously that our main foundation is conversations that we have with God. And when we unpack those things for benefiting businesses and establishing what we're doing, it goes back to every single person who is a great person in the Bible, like Abraham. They made him the father of nations. So when we are business people, we are taking up a lot of territory. So what we're trying to do here is give you that vision and that understanding that when you're starting a business, have the mindset of growth and expansion, and have the mindset of there's there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing you can't do. Business is liberation. I think we spoke about this on radio the other time, that when you're engaged in business, it's a form of liberation because now you are in charge of your own time. Now you're in charge of your own money. Now you're in charge of your growth potential. You're in charge of your legacy. You are creating financial freedom for yourself, for those around you, and for other families around you. So you become the boss. You are no longer employed. That is freedom. That is liberation. And essentially, it's been beautiful to learn that with God. Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and to further elaborate on the vision point, that's why reputation is so, so important with relation to vision, because you need to believe in your vision to the point that when people interact with you, they are seeing, they are interacting with your vision. There's no separation now, right? We meet, I'm here in this space often, and sometimes people walk in here because they don't know my name. They say, hi, business talk, right? Why? Because of that integration. I'm one with what I am doing,
Yeah.
right? And it's become a part of my reputation. It's become a part of what people see when they see me, right? And hence, going back to Jesus Christ, when Peter saw and interacted and spent time with Jesus, it felt to him like he's interacting and spending time with God, because you can't separate the two. They're one, and this is the reputation that he was interacting with.
Yeah.
And he said, on that, the fact that you know that, I will build my vision, right? And it's consistent up until this day, right?
Yeah.
Nothing can break it. That's the crazy, the crazy part.
And they try. It's not that they don't try.
That's true.
Yeah. So when coming back to business, I hope the slides are changing. But the next question is, what is
Why is your reputation? What is your reputation?
what is your reputation? Guys, sponsor us to put those things. Yeah. Anyways, what is your reputation? Yeah, so we spoke about vision is essentially the plan that you write down. I'm just re-emphasizing that you write down for yourself, what you know your business or your brand to be. That is the vision, right?
Yeah.
The growth potential of it. And then what do people say about you? Like Sanele was saying, when Jesus was asking his disciples, he said, what do people say I am? Some say John the Baptist, they branded him many different ways because they were unaware, right? So now you, as a business person, you have to go back and search, what is it that people are receiving from your business? What are people saying about you? If we were to ask our live audience all the time, I'm sure they'd just be like, oh yeah, those guys, they like to speak, and then they enter into Jesus, and then so it's, what do people say about you?
Sure.
In terms of a business and a functional entity, this would be, people sometimes do online reviews. There'll be businesses that say, please don't forget to review me on Google. There's Google reviews. Some people take surveys. I think even here at Makers Valley, people do surveys, and then they start to send you emails. And then in some of those, they try to get you to engage back so that they understand, are they effective in their vision, right? So it's essential to know what people are thinking and what people are receiving from you as a company and as an entity.
Right. And I want to just speak about as an individual as well, because you build an entity, it first begins with you. Remember, you had the vision, and then it becomes an entity, right? And that question was very, very key. The question when you ask them, who do you say that I am? Right. So with us in business, we network, we go out and we network with people. If I am not clear as to who I am and what I do, it's going to be very difficult for me to build a network, because first of all, I'm going to share with people what I don't even know myself, right? Do I know what my reputation is, right? So even with Jesus, he was checking, can you see me, right? Is it clear? How clear are you with who I am? If it's not clear, then he's not going to blame them for not seeing. It's something he needs to work on, to say, if you're not clear about who I am, there's something I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like when we go as business people into networking spaces and we are failing to make that network, we speak to people and they forget us. That means we are not very, very clear.
Yeah.
We are not direct and precise in terms of what we do. And from an entity perspective, that's why you find many businesses who are able to do many things will niche down and say, this is the one thing we do, right? And that's what they will sell to you at the time, or present as their reputation or as their brand identity to you, right? And then as you get closer, you start to discover, oh, you guys also do this, you guys also do this, but they won't come to you with the clutter in the beginning to say, we do this and this and this and this. They come with one thing and say, they'll niche down to that thing and say, this is us, this is who we are. That's why it goes down to a slogan, right? When you're done, you've put everything together, you need to come down to that one thing that sets you apart. We are Business Talk. We employ you by Christ Jesus, because that's what we do. We speak about business via the perspective of God.
Yeah.
It has to be clear that we are coming from this perspective, but we are bringing out business principles, and that's not going to change. And we cannot change from that. We need to be direct and precise with that.
Yeah, and I think if we essentially asking this, like I think I mentioned it before, we have Bible studies in the morning, and then you ask, what does God want to do today? And this is one of the questions that he asked us. What do people say about your business? What are you guys actually selling? What are you doing? So we have been successful in maintaining a company because he's very much a giver. So we have clients that come in and in and in. But now we are here on this platform. What is We Shop Local to you guys as our audience? Do you know what we do? What does our marketing agency sell? So now with these conversations, we answer that question. What do? We do reputation management. If you don't know, now you know. Click the link, follow us, go check it out. So we do reputation management. So yeah, that's what we do essentially. And yeah, I think it's essential to go back as a business, see what the comments are saying about you, and then you can even do it on social media now. Like you check social listening. What are the people saying in the comment section? What are the most asked questions? And how do you even go back and return? How do you reply to those questions? And do people go and Hello Peter about you and say, yay, the food was so bad at so and so place? And why do they do that? And I think that goes into our next point, which is customer experience.
Yes, customer
No,
experience.
it's not customer
Why
experience.
should reputation be managed?
Why should reputation be managed?
Right.
Yeah, so essentially, why should reputation be managed is because you know your vision, right? So you know where you want to go, and then you know what people are saying. The reason why you would manage the reputation is because you are trying to get that to be the same thing. Essentially, if people are saying something about you, but it is not what you're selling, then you need to manage that. You need to be able to bring them back to a call to action, so that you are actually retaining clients and you're getting people and you're growing the business. Because it's not enough, guys. Sometimes people think, I'll open a social media account, I'll start marketing on there, I'll do, we were speaking about it the other time, where people just essentially start boosting ads, boosting, and then you say, I don't have any clients, what's going on? But you're using social media the wrong way. You're not even coherent of what other people are thinking and or engaging with on social media, because you thought you could do it by yourself or for yourself. So essentially, why your reputation needs to be managed is because you're trying to get what people see and what you are to be the same thing, or find a middle. Sometimes people even use the reviews and the commentary to kind of refine, like Sanelo was saying, niche down and refine what it is that they're selling to people. So yeah, this works for personal brands. Obviously, a consultation would give you a bigger understanding, but it works for personal brands. It works for businesses, for entities, for business to business businesses, anything. You need to understand what your reputation is, and you need to constantly be managing it. If you're not the face of the company, we are the face of the company. So you'll never find me gikoge and then I'm wearing like 4 things and then, because it's not part of the reputation. At anywhere I go, now I'm very, very sure of that like, even if maybe it's a birthday party or something, I make sure that I still stay in line with the brand that I am selling, because essentially I am the face of the company, you see?
Yeah, and this goes back to the point of social listening, and it becomes very, very important. There are whole campaigns that companies build. They build it on after spending a period of time on social listening because they want to hear what the people out there are saying, right? There are campaigns built to manage the reputation. Maybe it was tarred by something, it was damaged by something, right? Or maybe it's doing well, so they want to ride that wave. So they use that, they listen to what people are saying. Now we've got TikTok. People can start a trend on your product, which you are not even thinking about. And it's a good trend. They're saying good things about your product, and then you ride that wave, right? You are riding on the reputation that people have with your product, right? And if it's been tarnished by something, you need to fix that reputation, right? So you listen and you hear what people are saying. So this is very, very important in terms of social listening. It doesn't have to be on social media only. Actually, as a business person, you should be listening all the time, right? Even when you enter spaces, what people are saying, right? Listen to them, take it all, whether it's negative, it's positive. I've heard people say, you guys talk about Jesus too much. That's reputation. That's what's affecting people. So how do we fix that? How do we make sure that people don't miss the message because they're offended by our references? It's things that we need to listen to and find out how do we fix that. How do we better engage with the person who's doing that? Maybe find a way to explain why do we do it. As you were saying, it's because we have a lot of conversation with regard to business with God, so we don't have another perspective, and not in a bad way, but there is a message for any kind of business person in everything that we're talking about, right? We need to manage that relationship. We need to manage that reputation. So a reputation has to be managed, and it has to be managed all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
There's no off days.
Some of us really, with our business, we assume that what we think the revelation the reputation of our business is, we assume it because we see it how we've put it down. You've written your vision and you said, this is how I want people to see me, and then you put it out and then people see it in another way. When you don't listen, you don't know that. And then it becomes difficult when people don't come to you for business because you never checked what they're saying. Maybe there's a misconception that you need to fix with regard to your business. Maybe there are things that are being said about your product or your service which are not true. Now you need to manage that reputation because it's wrong and fix it. So yeah, that is why a reputation has to be managed. You must manage.
You must do it. Okay. And now we're going to move on to the next point, which is creating customer experiences. So, essentially, even if you are a personal brand, you have customers, you have clientele, right? Even if you have a digital business or you are marketing on social, right now, a lot of Instagram shops and those types of shops are coming up. So people don't necessarily think about customer experience because they feel as though the platform, because it's easy to use a platform like social media, then you don't necessarily go the extra mile of understanding what is my customer's experience. What's your response time? I do you answer the questions properly? Are people well informed when they meet your profile that this is what you're doing? So customer experience is very much a part of reputation management because it becomes, because you essentially don't want to be in a space where you need marketing, constant remarketing and remarketing of your services for people to become your clients. You need to be able to establish return clients, and the only way that you can do that is have a good customer experience. Yeah, so to establish return clients, you need to have good customer experiences so that you're not always saying, hey guys, we are business so okay, say this is what we do. No, 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 we know that there are people who are going to watch this because they've been watching it because they have a good experience. We know that there'll be people who come back to the show because they have a good experience. So in terms of creating a customer experience, there's a lot we can say on this actually. So yeah, it's how do people interact with you in terms of how can they get a hold of your services, right? I think I've already spoken about social media. How do people interact with you in terms of what is your code of conduct when you are in a space and you're having one-on-one interactions with clients, right? We do a lot of client meetings because essentially our business is personal. And I think we put it in the code of conduct because that's what we do. Our business is being grown from the start. We've seen it from the beginning till we're gonna see it until we die, and then there's many we shops, no girls, but it's fine. But that's how we essentially want our customers to feel that will be there from the beginning, and we are here to formulate a growth, an exponential growth that maybe a client doesn't see immediately. So that's part of our customer experience, that when we interact with you, we are starting restructuring. If your business needs restructuring, obviously not everybody needs restructuring, they are established companies, but if you are an entrepreneur or you're a startup company, we help you see the bigger picture. We help you establish a vision, a larger vision, and we put things in place. Even the way that we curate our services, we have to pay attention to what is it we okay, let's say scenario. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm talking. Anyways, let's say you come there and you have you think you're coming to us for social media management. We sit down, we look at the entirety of your business, we see where else we can fit in. How do we help you establish your it, because it's not going to be enough. You're going to have the social media manager, you're going to have nice posts, but then you don't have good customer experience because when they DM you, they can't get you. You don't have a landing page, you don't have a website, you don't have clear reputation. So then we sit down with you and we kind of do a business consultation, and then we build the services according to the how it will most benefit the growth and the development of your company or business. And we are people, we are serving people, so we kind of do that, and we break down the services in such a way that it will not hurt your pocket, but then it'll make sure that your business isn't just a essentially a fly by night or one time thing, or when you have money, then it runs. So that's creating a customer experience. That's our customer experience at We Shop Local. But there's a lot we can say on customer experience.
Yeah, recently we've been working with a client, and the work with the client, it's work that goes back and forth because it goes through many people to check it. And person number one might say it's fine, person number two says it's fine, person number three says no, take it back. This needs to be fixed. And it could become, and it has, to be honest, there were times when you're like, oh no, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. That's fine. That's what we are feeling on our side. But the client must never ever know that.
Yeah.
And we've made sure that the client never ever knows. The client must always feel. I think one of the most important things when it comes to clients is that every client must feel like they are your only client.
Yeah.
Right? When they call, you're there. When they ask for something, you're there. When they say, I need this now, you need to work around that and make sure that it is delivered, right? And if you need to pull some strings, pull them, because the experience, you can have a good experience with the client, and the day they have a bad experience with you, then they switch and go and look for someone else. It's so sensitive with clients that you can lose them. So customer experience is a continuous thing, right? To say from the moment you made the first impression to right through how you handled the project is very, very important, and that speaks a lot to your reputation, on how you start and how you continue, right? This has been a long-term client of ours that we've been working with, and this client is working with another business, but we are protecting now our reputation with our client and protecting our client's reputation with those clients.
Yeah.
So it really, really goes a long way to say he now gets repeat business because of our diligence. But if we are lackluster, we lose his business, he loses business, and it's just a continuous thing,
Yeah.
right? And then how he speaks about us, he's saying, no, don't work with those guys. Our reputation is tarnished.
Ish.
Right? And his reputation is tarnished with the clients that he works with. So reputation management and customer experience really, really work together from everything. From if you have a business and someone walks in and you offer them coffee or you don't offer them coffee, they're looking at that. How does your space look? Was it clean? Could I move easily there? When I saw the people and I met them for the first time, were they smiling? Like, she's always smiling. But was all of this is all customer experience that speaks to a reputation that makes a person want to go back. Some people will sign a big contract with you because you offered them the best tea they've ever had.
Or you just offered them tea. Yo, you guys have tea.
Yeah. So
Million rand.
it's very, very important what type of experience you are creating and consistently create.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that has really helped us is learning to be servants.
Yes.
Because through learning to be servants, we're able to have, even when you're having the most difficult day, knowing and understanding that because this is essentially the entity that we're building, we have to serve. Even when it's difficult, we have to serve. Even when it's difficult between each other, maybe like suddenly did not submit it and I'm mad, but we have to be here, we have to serve.
Yeah.
So I think also that's why we are here on a day where we don't have a guest, because it was a matter of we are actually serving. We serve the audience, we serve the people that come here, we serve the space. So it doesn't make sense to be inconsistent because we are serving. And in that serving, we are serving ourselves. I think most of the time when we're on radio, we do say we actually end up talking to ourselves. We're growing. Yeah. And we're learning to learn. So in your service, I love the business that we do, guys. Marketing is beautiful because it's a lot of fun, one, and also you're exposed to different types of businesses. The amount of different types of businesses and industries you're able to see start and grow is beautiful, because essentially that means that I have many businesses in my head. When I'm a billionaire, now they say, what's his name? The guy with the iPhone. They say his name now. In a few years' time. Nyomle, because of how much learning there is. So for me, it's a very beautiful thing because I get to experience businesses from the beginning. And if I didn't have the nature of serving, then I would be closed off to learning. And when I'm closed off to learning, I close my growth potential. And essentially, like we were talking about vision, your vision always needs to expand. If your vision is always the same and you're coming closer to it and it's not moving forward, you are now running a dying business. Even if in that point in time it doesn't look like it's dying, but the business is dying, because essentially you're building a legacy. You're not supposed to just have one spaza shop or sell one type of clothing. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to constantly be evolving. And I think for me, the most beautiful thing with learning about customer service and learning to be a servant is having to do that with God, because then I've understood that God is a progressive God. There's nothing that I'll know today that'll sustain me throughout the rest of my life forever. I need to come back every single time and serve Him by presenting myself for the learning and the understanding and the development and the growth through Him. So understanding that God is progressive has changed my entire perspective of life, of people. That means I will always be a growing entity. Even if I become rich, maybe for some people it's monetary value that establishes you, then you stay there. But when you learn to be a servant and you learn about sustaining a reputation that has a growing vision, then nothing defines you. You're ever expanding. So yeah, be ever expanding.
Always growing and build beautiful experiences. You need to build memorable experiences. People must remember how they felt when they engaged with you and your business. One of the things, before we move on from this point to the last one, is that going back to Jesus and the disciples, He washed their feet. This is the Lord and Savior, the one whom they said, you are the Christ, the Son of God, and He washed their feet. He was teaching them a lesson. Also that when with that point said, it said even when your entity grows and you have staff, you at the top are not to be boss running around, serve them. You need to serve them. You need to be the one to say, do you have everything that you need? I will make sure that you do it. Let me provide it. Let me humble myself before you, and make sure that you are catered for and you are able to do what you do at the best of your ability. Right? So yeah, bosses, don't go bossing, serving people.
Don't be a boss.
Yeah, so I think we can move on to the last point.
And I think our last point is influence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so influence essentially goes back to vision. I think I've emphasized and re-emphasized, and I will not stop re-emphasizing that you are supposed to grow. There is never a business that does not grow or have potential. As a person, as an individual, there is no point of enough. You are supposed to be constantly growing. And I think there's another conversation that we were having the other day that you must learn to work on and not in your business. Working on the business means that you're always doing the next thing. The business is functioning because there are people working in it. Is essentially that's the best way to be a boss. Understanding the growth potential, the influence. And when you understand your reputation and you know what people are saying about you and you know what you're trying to establish and you have that idea of where you are going, then you create influence, right? Now people are essentially selling your product for you. You don't have to go back to the, I think we spoke about it a few minutes ago about how that specific client, because they are now working with another client and us at the same time. Now there's three people here, three businesses here. So our business is speaking to his business, he's speaking to another business. And then essentially, if we mess up this client, we are missing out on that business's business. And we have already met with them through this person because they have received a good service. Now they are evangelizing, and today it's a collaboration, tomorrow it can be a direct connect to that business. And it's a, essentially that's how you grow. You create evangelists for you. Essentially, if it's going back to our initial example, Jesus was making disciples. He was teaching them how to give this identity. And when he said to Peter, this is the foundation on which I will grow my church, he created disciples, and that created the first church. And now how many churches are there? Because of the reputation established from the beginning, understanding what the entirety of the brand was there. And when God was going through those things, he knew the growth of it. He knew what he was doing. Because if you go into Revelations, you see that it is already done. So practically now in this, because we're speaking together, when you're establishing your business's influence, you need to see it in the same way. You are creating evangelists. Every single client becomes an evangelist for your business. Every single client needs good customer experience so that they can go and sell you to other people. And you also need to, as an entity, be influential. We were, when I started the conversation, I said we're establishing ourselves as thought leaders, right? When we are thought leaders in the marketing industry, we become an influential entity on our own. Now we have multiple streams of evangelism for our entity. So we have Business Talk, we have Bishop Local on its own, and its social media platforms. Then we have my personal social media, his personal social media, and all of the other people that work with us. That is evangelism. Essentially, we are creating a reputation that is constant through many brands, and it is available to many different types of clienteles, which essentially the core of our business works with anyone and everyone. Be you one entity, a personal brand, a business, doesn't matter the size of your business, but we will work with you. And because we have multiple streams of marketing and we are managing the reputation well, then we have evangelists. Yeah, we have an influence.
Yeah. So it goes back to the question: what do men say about me? What are people saying? It's very, very important. Now, this client that we've handled and have always been available, what does it say about us? Will he recommend us? This is some of our biggest clients. Most of our clients, the biggest ones, come through referrals.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it that these clients come? And why do you get your biggest clients coming through referrals? And this is very, very important, right? If you've got a big client, his circle is that type. So if he's big, that means he's surrounded by big clients. And he's talking about you to other potential big clients for you, right? And this is where sometimes we fail when we mess up our reputation with such a person.
Yeah.
You know, because they're giving you the business and then they are saying deliver and you're not delivering. And now how do they tell their circle about you? They will not, you know. And then when you go back to the question, what do men say about you? And then you go and listen and it said, no, don't work with that person.
Ish.
They're not available for the work, you know, or they don't do
It's
this.
ability.
You know, they say all of these things about you. So it's very, very key to make sure that it's entering you know, I love to say that we think in dimensions and we live in realms. And business, when you're growing business, you are growing, you're moving from one realm to another, right? So I might have been working with macro businesses, and then an opportunity for micro businesses comes. What determines whether I stay in that realm or not is how I manage.
Yeah.
How do I manage my first client in that realm? Because my client in that realm, if I manage them well, they will talk about me. Now I'm handling micro and macro businesses and big ones, right? So it's very, very key. Quickly, Ranek and Beno do whatever they do to fix that. So really managing our reputation is also stands between whether we grow to the next level in business or we stay at the level that we
Yeah.
or even worse, we lose, right? As the Bible says, what you fail to manage, you will lose. That steward that had the one talent and kept it, and then the Lord came
Even
to
him.
keep accounts. Eh?
Even him.
Yeah, so he came to settle accounts and he found that, dude, you buried this thing, you never invested, you never grew. You know? So the painful part is that it says there, even what you have will be taken away. So imagine you're losing, and what's left after you lose, even that will be taken away. So you're just going backwards, you know. But yeah, so this speaks a lot to reputation management. We cannot exhaust this topic, but these are the parts that we just wanted to touch on today.
All right. Sorry guys. So yeah, I think Sanele has said a mouthful. I have said a mouthful, but that is essentially what we had today on reputation management. Make sure that you have a vision and make sure that you are the influence in whatever sphere of business you are in. And the only way to do that is to have good customer experience, manage the reputation, and understand what other people are doing and saying about your business or your company or your entity. And like I said, this is a Business Talk We Shop logo collaboration. Visit our websites, find out what we do, be with us, and we want to be with you. So thank you guys for joining us.
Cheers, thank you, everybody.